Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's December 19th, and right now we're looking at the combination of Doppler radars. You can see Washington State and Oregon here. We've got some precipitation moving up over the region. Actually, a few winter weather advisories out there for some of the higher terrain. Some freezing rain actually might be accumulating out there, and you can kind of see the same deal going on across extreme northeastern Oregon as we speak. So these precipitation totals, as you can see on the Doppler radar, they are not that impressive out there, and this rain should be wrapping up as we go through the afternoon and the nighttime tonight. So let's just go ahead and dive into the mid-level water vapor loop, and you can see back across the Aleutians here some more cold air. That's where our next frontal system is going to come from out here across Pacific Ocean. This storm off the coastline here, it's helping to spin some of that precip up into our area, but again, it's not much, and this storm has its eyes on the state of California. Pretty dynamic storm down there actually, but we wait for this back here. And we'll take a look at the extended forecast as we go, as always, through the video here this morning, and taking a look at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. You can see Washington, Oregon, British Columbia here. There's that storm that's got its eyes on California there. And then this is our next frontal system. You can see it arriving as I scroll backwards. This is Wednesday night. Here we go on into Thursday morning. Here's Thursday late morning, afternoon, and Thursday night. And then this frontal system will be rolling into the area here. And we might bring some gusty westerly winds as this passes through also. And we might bring a little bit of mountain snow with it as well. And we kind of build this ridge over the area, but the Gulf of Alaska low still looks to get very powerful here as we go through the later portion here as we get towards Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We'll look at that here in a bit more in a moment. Taking a look at the European last night. And if I go to about here, it's about 10 a.m. about what I'm doing the briefing at currently. And you can see this precipitation moving up over the area here. Kind of hangs on for a bit longer across western BC. In fact, doesn't really end much at all for some of Vancouver Island, especially northern portions in western BC up here as well. I know there's not a lot of people that live there, but I know I have some viewers that are out there. So heads up for that. The precipitation pretty persistent here as we go through this week. Towards the end of the week here, then our next frontal system arrives, hopefully bringing at least a few inches of snow for some of the ski areas here, because these El Ninos, it can be hard to come by for sure. Then that swings through and we get a bit of a break. Actually showing a little bit of convergent zone activity maybe across some of the Cascades here as well as we go on into Saturday morning. And then we've got that stronger jet stream out here. How close is this going to get to the coastline here? What kind of storms is this going to be spinning up? Because it's got atmospheric river potential with it as well, and even some windier solutions. But we're still looking a little ways off into the future here. The models are kind of flopping back and forth with just how far east these storms get towards the Pacific Northwest. Looking at 100-meter wind speed, you got Washington and Oregon here. You got that easterly component going on, and now we wait and we bring the next system here, and you'll see the frontal system start to approach again as we go through the day Friday. There it is out here, and you can see some gusty southeasterly winds, maybe off straight at Georgia, northwest interior, some of the coastal areas. Then you see that big wind switch here. Look at that rapid wind switch back to the northwest as the frontal system moves through, and then you can see the gusty winds coming down the Strait of Juan Fuca, maybe Whidbey Island there as well. Some gusts up towards 50 miles per hour are possible, and some stronger winds across the Cascades as well. Typically windy locations, especially east slopes, as we go on into Friday night and very early Saturday morning. Those gusty winds will continue on through eastern Washington and push off to the east there. Now, taking a look quickly here at the 10-meter max wind gust, so you'll kind of see right there is when the westerly winds start to come down through the Strait of Juan Fuca. They're maybe starting to touch Whidbey Island there for some gusty winds out there, and some gusts up into the mid-40s possibly for the Cascades shown there. And looking at Seattle, we're already above average here for precipitation here across a lot of the area. The average for the month of December is about 5.7. We're already at 6.75, and we've got more to come. We're picking up a little bit more today here, and we have the potential for some more significant systems here as we go through December here. So we're definitely going to finish above average already, but we could add to that total pretty nicely as well. Now, looking at percent of average precipitation from December 5th to December 18th there, you can see some western Washington above, but there are some portions that were below, especially down into Oregon. However, eastern Washington has not been doing too bad here over the last couple of weeks. The east slopes, the Cascades, a little bit below average there as well. Look at this desert southwest there. Definitely needs this next storm to come down there and drop them some meaningful rainfall. Looking at Seattle, Tacoma, again, not looking at extremely impressive precipitation amounts with this one or the next storm system here, but the control run does have 0.4 of an inch with that next system. Here's Mount Baker trying to pick up a couple inches here, and then maybe a few more with that next frontal system rolling in there. Maybe some locally higher amounts if that convergent zone does drop some additional snowfall with it. Probably in between Mount Baker, maybe down towards Stevens Pass, those type of areas there, Central Cascades. So here's Stevens Pass there. You can see by the time we get towards Friday night, maybe 4, 5, 6 inches of additional new snowfall here. That's kind of dependent on exactly where that convergence zone sets up. Also, Mount Hood, hoping for a few inches with that next frontal system there as well. We got to be careful with these El Nino winters, though, because we can really cut off the snow for some of the higher terrain here if we get stuck in a pattern here as we get into the new year, which we continue to watch for, but, we'll deal with that as it comes. Mission Ridge ski area here, not bad. The control run actually above all its ensemble members here, and you can see the mean right around 3-4 inches. Here we go with the European ensemble as of last night, and you can see the total precipitation in inches. California just getting battered here, and Western BC picking up some really hefty amounts here. Persistent, almost an atmospheric river feature here showing up all the way on through Saturday morning. Then the frontal system starts to roll in here, and you can actually, I got ahead of myself there. There goes the frontal system there. And you can see about a 1/2 inch for Seattle maybe here, and some of the higher terrain of the Cascades doing better. Some rain shadowing going on in through eastern Washington. It's pretty typical. Then we scroll off into the next system trying to roll in here as well. And that goes out to about Sunday night. Now looking at the extended forecast here, because this is the European yesterday afternoon. Here goes that storm system there dropping down the California coastline. Precip wraps up, but we get that persistent precipitation into western BC again. Then the frontal system rolls through, and we get the westerlies ripping across some of the Pacific Northwest here. And then we start to get the potential for additional strong frontal systems here as we go through Christmas Eve potentially. Maybe some type of atmospheric river setting up here. Some strong fronts trying to take aim at the Pacific Northwest. But, we have plenty of time to look at that right now. And you can see additional strong storms forming out here. And there's even been some east wind events showing up in some of the ensemble members as well. You can imagine the low pressure out here and the higher pressure over the interior portions here would create a nice gradient depending on just how the storm sets up. But we'll be watching for that over the next few days, no doubt. And you can see some impressive storms going down into California as well. But now looking at total precipitation, this is going out into the extended also. So there's our initial frontal system as it rolls in right there. And you can see western BC again picking up some nice amounts. But we're going to scroll out towards the end of December here and kind of see how much more precip we can expect. So that would be ending right about there. Maybe another couple inches for Seattle. That would put us up close to 9 inches on the month of December. Not a bad showing there. But there's going to be a lot of variability in this coming in the next few days. As I showed you, some of these storms are still up in the air, literally. And this is the GFS. Scroll through this really quick. This is hot off the press of the 12Z run. I want to go to the end of December coming up here, and we're just going to see how much more precipitation we can expect. We're looking at about December 30th there. Now we're rolling into the New Year period here, and you can see some pretty big amounts showing up in some of these runs here in the typical rain shadowing going on. But looking at total snow, and this is on last night's European, you can see if we go through the day today, maybe picking up a few inches across the Cascades there. Then the next frontal system rolls through here, hopefully bringing in some snowfall down through the Oregon Cascades as well. Nothing too extreme, however. And looking off into Fantasy Windstorm, it still shows some of those bigger windstorms out there, but nothing's coming to agreement here right now. Nothing worth getting too excited about just yet. Here's the 6 to 10 day through December 28th, and this goes all the way to the new year here in East California's bullseye, and the Pacific Northwest slightly above average unless you start to move in towards Spokane, the Idaho Panhandle, and Montana. Kind of some below average signal showing up there. And this is the experimental product. Check it out. We got that slight risk there for the potential for some storms moving into the West Coast. This goes through January 1st, and the risk of heavy snow is there if one of these storms lines up right, and it does include the Washington Cascades. This is the wind product here as well. It does show it still for the Washington, Oregon coast, and even some moderate down there as well. We'll see how this works out, though, and we have plenty of time to look at that. But yeah, anyway, be watching that front roll in here. Hopefully that storm track starts to get rolling into the Pacific Northwest again, but hopefully it doesn't start to bring any too extreme flooding or anything like that. But we'll be watching that over the next few days, see how the models trend. So anyway, I hope you guys are liking these videos. I'm probably going to do a live stream on the California channel tonight because this is a very dynamic storm. It's going to come down there and impact them. And I'll probably do that and do some Q&As to try to keep everybody up on the latest updates down there. So if you want, join me for that one. That'll be on the California Weather Watch channel. And otherwise, we'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.